Hey, welcome to the Vacation Rental Success Podcast. This is your host, Heather Bayer, and I am so pleased to have with me today my business partners. And that's Mike Bayer and Jason.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there, how you guys doing?
It's super, we can only meet like this. I mean, sometimes I'll meet up with Mike because, of course, he has my grandchildren, so I get to meet him. But Jason, it's been a long time since we actually met face to face, and don't know how long it's going to be before we can do that again. But I think once these borders open, we will we'll try and get together. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. We need to, for sure.
Hold on, I'm just adjusting. Jason, you're a little bit quiet.
Oh, okay. Well, I can help that. There. That should do it. There we go.
That's much better. So I don't know if you guys saw the other day that I posted in the Facebook group, the business of short-term rentals and property management. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you are not a member of the business of short-term rentals and property management Facebook group, you need to hop on over there and join in. It is one of the very few Facebook groups that are out there that have no political leaning, have no agenda other than supporting professional hosts and property managers in their businesses. And there's some really just such amazing stuff. Even if you just come along on a Thursday and see what Justin Ford from Breezeway posts about safety and security, etc. at vacation rentals, it really is worthwhile. So that was a little bit of a segue out, but coming back to it, I posted in there last week a photo of a lot of plumbing in a vacation cottage here in Ontario. And I found it on the MLS, on realtor.ca. Did you guys see that picture?
Yeah, I saw it. It was quite quite frightening if that was actually in a real property. I just kind of figured it was a bit of a joke. A joke photo that somebody staged together, but if that was actually in a property, that's yeah.
That was just a plumbing. I didn't post the electrical one.
Holy guacamole!
It's actually a property. It's on a lot of acres, in fact. And the guy took it off the grid a number of years ago, and he's like this sort of inventor, and he has. I mean, if you look at the aerial photo. And there's a wind thing, and there's dozens of solar panels and just different outbuildings that he houses all his batteries in. But yes, it's a genuine property, and it's up for sale at the moment. And there is a caveat on the for sale listing which says, please do not ask about this property or try and hold it, or basically what they're saying, don't hold it up by getting a home inspection. You're buying this property as is. But the reason I posted that was because I looked at it and I thought, oh God, that looks like my brain this morning. So unorganized, things coming in, and we've got a few more pipes, and we'll just put them in here and there, and really without any thought to how everything links in to everything else. Now, I'm sure the guy that created that knows exactly how it all works, but you guys know what it's like. You wouldn't like to get inside my head, would you?
Oh, no. Sometimes I don't like being in my own head.
Well, it was exactly, that's what my head was looking like. And it prompted me to ask about organizational tools and what people were using for organizing their days, their projects, their lives, in fact. And I thought this would be a great opportunity because I am actually quite organized. It's just that outwardly, you perhaps wouldn't know it. So I thought it would be great if the three of us shared what we use for organization, because I've been spending a lot of time recently thinking about it. And I have rediscovered some platforms and some tools that I was using years ago. and I've rediscovered them, and I want to share those with you. So I've asked Mike and Jason to come along and share theirs as well. So what I thought we'd do is we go one to the other, and we'll do 9, 3 each. And then at the end, maybe we'll have a little vote on which we think is the most productive and perhaps beneficial to everybody. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Who wants to start?
I want to start.
Mike, you start with your number 1, because I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, so I mean, I was looking at this, and we do this all the time. I mean, I've been speaking to a couple of different business owners in the vacation rental space over the last few weeks, and we speak to our members every single week within the Formula Club who join our weekly office hours, which is an hour that we give up every single week to talk live with our members, and we get to have a really good conversation about the different things that are going on in their businesses and the challenges that they're facing. And quite often, that feeling of overwhelm and just things piling on top of them is quite common. And generally, we tend to refer them to, as we're going to do in this list today, is different apps and tech that can help organize and make things easier and more efficient. And I think sometimes we need to balance that out with trying to remove that overwhelm in the first place, or how our own brains respond to that overwhelm. And the number one thing, and I this is, please don't roll your eyes while you're listening to this. The number one thing that we don't do in our businesses is look after ourselves. So the first tool that I'm going to recommend, it's actually 3 separate tools, is sleep, exercise, and diet. If you can't manage those 3 things for yourself, the one machine that is working for your business that needs to be at a peak efficiency at all times, if you can't manage that one machine, nothing else matters. So I was we were supposed to record this call about 3 hours ago, but I hadn't put it in my calendar because I had a lot of things going on. And I assigned myself a few extra hours of sleep this morning, and overslept. And unfortunately, we missed our recording time. Fortunately, we're able to everybody, thank you for moving around your schedules to re-record this. But I was trying to fill up my sleep bank and give myself a bit of time for my body to recharge and get back on top of my game. And I think that because I've had multiple nights of just a few hours worth of sleep because I've got lots of things going on. And I think that if we can just be good to ourselves, the number one tool is be good to yourself and focus on giving yourself enough sleep, enough time to get good healthy food, and get out and get some exercise and get your body moving every single day. You'll feel that much better and your business will work that much better. So that's my first one. Do we want to do one each, or are we going to do all 3 at the same time?
Oh, let's do all 3 at the same time. So what's
okay?
Do?
So the second one, so sleep, diet, and exercise focuses on body. And there's body and brain. So it's actually the physical side of your body. My second tool, and this is actually an app. And I found that whenever I give myself a few months where I'm not working with this app, I tend to see my work productivity and my feelings of overwhelm significantly increase. And this is an app called Muse. I think Heather's probably mentioned this a few times in the past. And please don't think this is hokey, because I certainly did. But it's meditation. It's allowing yourself only 15 minutes a day. And I mean, if you can't spare 15 minutes a day to sit quietly and meditate, I know it took me a long time to kind of even feel that this was remotely something that was beneficial to me. It's like, why am I sitting here just trying not to think? It took some time, but Muse is this. You have to budget for it. I mean, it is. You have to buy a piece of technology that you wear on your head, and this headband measures the electrical feedback from your brain. I know it sounds like. I hope it's not connected to Google in any way. But this headband measures the electrical activity of your brain, and feeds it back to you through headphones, through an audio experience. So you can choose what that experience is. It could be sitting on a beach. It could be sitting in a jungle. It could be just the sound of wind. But what it means is as the headband detects that your brain is working and thinking, the sounds that you're hearing increase and get louder. So it's fascinating how our brains, especially for myself and Heather, who have brains who are just popping all the time, moving from thought to thought very, very quickly, where focus, I mean, this is the root of ADHD, really, is not being able to focus on one thing. And this is what this meditation allows you to do, is help to remove the noise, stop your thoughts and your ideas from interfering with what it is that you're trying to focus on right here, right now. There's definitely time to allow yourself to have these crazy, wonderful ideas about your business and your life and all that kind of stuff. But when you are needing to work and you have this feeling of overwhelm because there's so many things going on at the same time, you need to be able to drill down and quiet your mind to enable you to focus on the tasks at hand. So this headband, I think it runs around about $299 Canadian. That's probably like $150 US. So you have to buy the headband, and then that connects to this app. And then you can track, with every session you do, you can track how well you're doing. They've gamified it. So, you know, as you're going through your session, however long you want it to be, it can be up to an hour if you really want. But typically I find between 8 and 15 minutes is just fine, like once a day. They gamify it, so as your brain is calming down and your thoughts quieten down, you start to hear these little Tweety birds. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating how it works. And if you keep up with it for at least 3 or 4 days in a row, how well you are able to focus and concentrate. And this is without caffeine. This is without any other energy drinks. You know, you're able to quieten your brain and allow yourself to focus simply by training your brain, which is something we don't do very often. So that's my second tool is Muse.
Oh, that's it's a brilliant one. And you bought me the Muse headband a couple of years ago for Christmas, and I didn't use it for the longest time. And when I started to use it, it's a little creepy, but it does work. It does work, and I haven't used it. I have to be honest, I have not used it for a couple of months. But I think now you've brought it back to my mind, and now I'm in my organizational mode. I am going to get the headband out and start using it again. So thanks, Mike. That is really useful. And of course, meditation doesn't have to cost anything. You don't, if you don't have to wear the headband, you could just learn meditation. So Jason?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, and I don't want to, yes, you can absolutely do that. For me, Muse helped me get over my, I guess my views towards meditation, because I didn't understand, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what I'm supposed to be trying to do. And nobody ever seemed to be able to explain it in any of those guided sessions on YouTube or Spotify. So that really helped me to have that feedback that told me exactly what my brain is doing. And I tell you what, the first couple of times you use it and you understand how the sounds are reacting to what your brain is doing, I'd be sitting there and just thinking of nothing, just trying to think of black or think of white. And for me personally, I find in my mind, if I just try and think of white, like a white room with white furniture and white walls and white pictures, I find that helps me to calm down my brain. And it's fascinating that my brain will go, oh, I'm not sure I like the look of that couch. I think I'm going to change it to something. And as soon, in my brain, that's what I'm thinking. And then immediately the feedback in the headphones is I like a beach scene. So immediately the wind gets louder and the waves get louder. It's like, oh, no, the couch is fine as it is. Just keep it white. It's fine.
That's fantastic. So
it's super bizarre.
Meditate?
So I have the Muse headband, and that's about as far as I've got. I think I've had it for about 2 years now. I might have done it for a few times, but Mike, you mentioned the waves, and the park are my two favorite on that. Because in the park you get to start hear the birds chirp and things, and the waves, you get to hear the like the tide coming in, or the waves start crashing harder and stuff. So it's really cool. It is really cool.
Perfect. What's your third one, Mike?
Okay, so my third one is, and this is just a straight up organizational tool, nothing fancy, no personal well-being in this. But I use a combination of two. We mentioned this before, is Asana. Asana is a free organizational tool that you can use where you can itemize out all of the tasks that come into your head. and this was part of something that I'm doing much more often, is I actually have a little whiteboard, like a tiny little letter-sized whiteboard beside my computer that I can, when things start to get overwhelming and the tasks start to build up, it's like, how am I going to manage these tasks? I immediately write them down on this whiteboard. I don't open an app. I don't do anything. I get the whiteboard and I quickly scribble down those tasks. So then I can forget about them and go back to focusing on what it was I was supposed to be doing. So then once I've done that task I was doing, I go to the whiteboard, look at all those things I jotted down. And it could be anything. It could be to do with business, could be to do with, what I got to buy at the grocery store. It could be anything. And what I then do is I then take that and I apply it to a task organizational app. So for the business, I use Asana, which is great because you can organize your tasks into projects. And you can also have multiple workspaces. So I have a home workspace. I have a vacation rental formula workspace. If we take on a client and we have like a big project, I can create a workspace just for that client. And then you can invite people to collaborate with those tasks. So for us in vacation rental formula, we've got Heather, myself, and Jason. And then we have a few of our virtual assistants that we bring on, and we can assign them tasks within Asana. And once a task is assigned to somebody, you can put a date and time on it and when it's due. And then within that task, there's an entire discussion that you can have. So if you're going through things and you have an idea, you can throw it into the discussion of the people who are part of that task. And you have to be disciplined with it, though. It's one of those things that it can, in of itself, it can become overwhelming because there are so many places to kind of keep it keeps pulling your focus away. So if Heather's having one of her days like I do, where she's working on 4 or 5 projects at the same time, and will have an idea on one project, she'll put it down the discussion. And then she'll go to another project with 5 minutes later and put something down in the discussion. And then at my end, I'm receiving those alerts, and it's also pulling me from project to project. So you have to be very disciplined with that to only focus on the projects and tasks you're working on and try not to be pulled in other directions. So Asana is the one I recommend for, the granular tasks. And this is when we're looking at property managers, especially, this is a great tool that you can give to your cleaning team, to your property maintenance team, because you can create, every property is a project. And as they arrive at a property, they go in, and if they're finding issues that need to be fixed, repaired, inventory that needs to be replaced, photographs that need to be included, they can go into that Asana app on their smart device. They can put those tasks down, and then that all gets sent back to the head office, which can then be actioned on. And I think that's a great use for that. You can combine Asana with another app called Trello. So Trello is a bit more simplistic, and we use this for larger projects. So we can basically create a timeline or different stages for a project. So we have ideas stage, we have an on deck, as in the projects we're going to do next. We have a column that is currently in progress, and then we have a completed and an archived. So archived will be things that through the life cycle of a project, we've gone through, we've worked on it, but maybe we've just decided, okay, we're going to shelve this for a while, rather than having it lurking around and kind of messing up the board. We can take that and drop it into archive and come back to it at a later date if it's not part of our next Q1, Q2, or next quarter's plans for our projects. So Trello is a good one, but if you start with Asana, there are elements in Asana where you can do the same things as you do in Trello. So those two combined can work very, very well to kind of keep you on task.
Perfect. This is going really well. So Jason, let's hear yours now.
Yeah. So I'll start there where Mike left off with this kind of task management system. For me, and what I do, right, because not only do I work with Heather and Mike here in Vacation Rental Formula, I still have independent clients that I work with either in the vacation industry, e-commerce industry, or marketing in general. So the system I use is called Plutio, Plutio. And it's fantastic for what I do, because not only does it integrate projects and tasks and task management and client management, things like that, but I can track my time in it. So if I start working on, a marketing campaign, I can hit the play button or the timer start, and it starts counting time. Right. And not only is that working for me, if I have any subcontractors or any VAs come in and do the same thing, I can track their time as well. And it's very simple to take that and then turn that into an invoice at the end of the month or end of the project or whenever, to send it over to a client. Or if in our industry, if we're doing something with various service related projects, things like that, you need to generate, you don't have a way to generate invoices to your owners if you're a property manager. Maybe that's something you want to take a look at, where you're able to track almost like a service desk or ticketing system. It could be used for something like that as well. It's got built-in chat, which is great, because I can put my little chat widget, not only on my website, but also my clients' websites, where they see it when they log into the admin section of WordPress. So for me, that's a great one. And then also, and it's very similar. It's like a hybrid between Trello and Asana, meaning you can have dedicated task management and break things down and get notifications, and also have the Trello view, where it's the Kanban style boards where you have different phases. So I really enjoy it for that aspect of it. So not to throw any more options out there, but I think everyone has got their own flavors. So yeah, that's definitely my first one is Plutio. And Mike and I have used that in the past for some of our big Kahuna projects. But that's my bread and butter. And honestly, it does integrate with Asana and Trello. So if you have multiple teams going on, you can kind of work from one spot. It's a little bit different. So
yeah, I think it's great. We're getting sort of very different, apps or platforms that are doing similar things, but are different. So, it's giving people a good inkling into what's out there. So that's great. So what about your second one?
So secondly, it sounds a little bit cheesy, but my watch. I love my watch. So I have got a Garmin Instinct Solar watch. So it's a smartwatch, and it's very similar to the one that I've had in the past. I've gone from a Garmin watch, because it integrates or syncs up with like my running pods, my heartbeat sensors, my speed and cadence sensors on my road bikes, things like that. And I moved away from it and went with a traditional, smartwatch, as the Android style or the Google smartwatch platform. And I've come back to it, and that's because the battery is amazing. But more importantly, it has what's called a body meter on it, body battery. And this body battery, going back to what Mike started off with taking care of yourself, this body battery I find for myself being very intriguing, because I'm kind of surprised at how well it works. But whenever you do sleep, you increase kind of that you get a positive number in your tank, and throughout the day you start draining that. And when I look back at it 2 or 3 days after the fact, and I look at it and think, man, Tuesday was rough. I was on my feet all day long, or I had a lot of presentations, or I was running because that's scout day, whatever the case is. I can really see that body battery, drain really quick. And it does take time to build back up. So that's something that's really helped me kind of keep in check, to know when I need to schedule a downtime, to know when I need to schedule a 2-hour nap on a weekday or a weekend or something like that. So I think most people now have a smartwatch of some sort, and whether they have that capability or not, that was one of the reasons where I found this watch to be extremely useful. In addition to the fact that it is solar powered, and so it can last a good 2 or 3 weeks, without needing a charge, and sometimes up to a month. So that's great for me when I'm outdoors with all my scout camping and whatnot. So that's a piece of tech or a productivity tool that's I've had for about 3 or 4 months. That's really helped me keep me under control.
That's wonderful.
I'd like to jump on that one for a second, because I completely agree. I mean, I've got a Fitbit Ionic, and I absolutely love it. I never thought I would. I never used to wear a watch, and my wife said, "Don't get one because you'll lose it." It's been my number one tool. Like, I'd rather have my watch than my phone. If I lose my phone, meh. But my watch, and I think that some of us may feel that why do we need technology to tell us how we're feeling or how to look after our body? And I've had this conversation with people before, and I think for entrepreneurs in particular, the problem is our focus becomes so hell-bent on our business that our business becomes a higher priority than ourselves. And occasionally you need something, and in this case, a smartwatch, a device that can remind you, I love the idea of the body battery to kind of really tell you that you need to recharge. And I think that is such an important feature for entrepreneurs, to remind them that you have to prioritize the needs of yourself and your body over and above your business. I mean, you and I, Jason, we spoke to a client the other day who was, up late most nights doing administration, inventory ordering, all that kind of thing. And it's just like, it's something that we do because there are so many avenues out there telling us as entrepreneurs, we need to hustle. We need to hustle. We need to work harder. You're not going to make it unless you work harder. And it's completely the wrong message. You will work more efficiently and with a lot more happiness in what you're doing and in your business if you are taking care of yourself first and your business second.
It's interesting you mentioned that, because this is the Gary Vaynerchuk thing, wasn't it? You've got to hustle till your eyeballs bleed.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, we don't do that. This is an entirely different way of looking at it. I really love the fact that here we are, this is the third app or the third thing that we're talking about that is focusing on us and not really the work, but it comes back to the you. And if you get
absolutely.
the you right, you get everything else. Everything else will fall into place. So what's your last one?
So my last one is it's whenever I work, especially when I focus, I have my earbuds in and I'm listening to something, right? It is a service or a website called brain.fm. Yeah. And I picked this up for a lifetime deal on AppSumo maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I absolutely love it. They've got a mobile app, but it's brain.fm. And it really helps you, just like Muse helped coach you through meditation, right? And learn that. Brain.fm has it's not necessarily music, but it's not just those brainwave stuff either. It's a hybrid of both. And I really enjoy it to be able to, focus in, working a 90-minute sprint. After that, take a break, stretch, grab some water, come back. And, if I need to, if I'm working on something that's more creative, where I'm trying to tinker and put stuff together versus actually get work done, it's got a creative workflow to it as well. So it really kind of, for me, it helps me get more creative, just like it's designed to do, but kind of loosen up and try some things out, and not be afraid to fail if it doesn't work, because I'm kind of in that creative mode, and also for sleeping. Especially if I'm on a camp out somewhere, I've got a sleeping headphone set that, it's like more like a toque or toboggan or whatever Mike calls it.
It's a toque. It's not a toboggan.
I like toboggan, a beanie, something like that.
A beanie, yeah, a beanie's good.
But it's a headband, right? That's got earphones built into it, and it has a sleep mode. So whenever I'm out in the woods, and especially in the summertime when those crickets and mosquitoes and bugs are just, I'm able to turn, or the guy sleeping next to me in the next tent, just, peeling paint off the roof. I'm able to turn that on. And again, it still gives me a great kind of recharge. And gets me into a better sleeping pattern for sure. So that's my third one, is brain.fm.
I use that. I use the movie. There are
the cinema. There's a couple on Spotify.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I haven't tried that one. That one.
I've got a favorite one on Spotify right now. It's called Epic Star Wars, and like I just love epic movie soundtracks, but that one's amazing. But so just going back to the Brain.fm, I have to say I think you guys may have talked about it in the past, and I haven't checked it out, but I'm just on their website right now, and there's a comment, one of their testimonials through Twitter, and it says, "I don't know what sort of witchcraft Brain FM app has up its sleeve, but I've had the headphones on all morning and my productivity levels have been through the roof. So I'm definitely gonna give this one a try."
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the, and a lot of reading that I've done, personal development with focus and productivity and stuff, a lot of a lot of times you want to try and focus on sprints, you know, work solid for 30, 40 minutes, whatever, an hour and a half, and then take a break and check email, check text messages, make phone calls, etc., things like that. And this allows you to work, you know, set a time limit for the music. So when the music stops, right, that's kind of your cue to get up, stretch, take a break, you know, reset mentally. And the great thing about it is, for when you first start out, you may only be able to work at 30 minutes at a time before you just lose all productivity or go bonkers. So, you know, you can work yourself up to that 90 minutes, to up to that 60 minutes, whatever the case may be. So I've really enjoyed it.
Fantastic. Okay, coming to my three, and I'm going to start with my two small ones, and then go on to the one that is defining my life at the moment. So I'm, you know, you've got to hang around and wait for that one. So the first one is, you know, I've talked about recently creating our new website for CLRM, and it's a wonderful website. And the new dashboard at the back and the Gutenberg block builder has made, you know, creating content so much easier. And I absolutely love it. But the one thing that always held me back was the media file. You know, I always knew I had a picture an image that I wanted to use amongst all the 550 other images I had. I was scrolling through them to find them until I found the Filebird plugin from Envato. And all the things we're talking about today, I'm going to put the URLs and the links in the show notes, so you don't have to write these down. You can just go to the show notes and check them out. But Filebird is just a great media organizer. It's free to start with, but once you get into it, you're going to want to buy the license, which is $25, and that allows you to create loads and loads of folders and subfolders. So for me, we have 7 different areas, and I've got photographs from 7 different areas. If I'm doing landscapes, you know, nature shots from different areas. So I've got folders for Muskoka and for Parry Sound and for all the different regions. And then in those folders, I've got subfolders. So it could be the towns in that area, or the villages, or the bakeries, or whatever. I mean, I know I can go nuts on creating folders and categories, but I try and keep it relatively simple. So I've got one called animals. You know, I've got pictures of moose and bears and loons and chipmunks and things. So all those go into a folder called animals. So anytime I'm doing a blog post, I need an animal photo, I can just go straight to that folder, find the image, and then upload it. It's absolutely fantastic. I know there are other media file organizers, but this one works for me. And as I say, it's $25 for the license, and you can have unlimited categories from that. Do you know of any others, Jason?
No, I've been looking for a few, actually, because one of the projects I've been working on it's kind of the same thing. You've got a lot of different ways to organize your photos, or organize your content inside your media library inside WordPress. So I'm going to go check that one out, because I haven't got that far yet, but I've been looking. And you know, there's ones that will allow you to kind of reskin it to make it look more like your normal file explorer on your computer and things like that, but not to really like create folders and organization. And so I'm going to look at that one for sure.
Yeah. Well, my second one is called Workflowy. Mike talked about using a little whiteboard next to his computer just to do, you know, use the old-fashioned pick up a pen. I use a little app called Workflowy. It looks a bit like Word stuck in bullet mode. I mean, it's really simplistic. You're not going to find any bells or whistles there, but I use it to, if I'm having it's the way my brain works. I start doing something, and then a thought will pop into my mind, and before I know it, you know, I'm off on something else. And we call it's squirrel. I'm in squirrel mode. You know, something else has taken my attention, and it's just, do you remember that, you know, from the film Up, and talking dog, and the talking dog would sit there, and then suddenly he'd go squirrel, and he'd be off in another direction. That's me. So Workflowy helps me to stop doing that, because I can just go into there, and I use it for brainstorming, just throw those notes down and come back to it a bit later on. So it's great for note taking as well. If you're doing let's say an online, a virtual event and you want to take notes, then it's brilliant for that. It's the free version, gives you, I haven't gone to the paid version. And in fact, you can have, I think, about 250 items of free space. And then if you run out of free space, then you just refer somebody else. If you refer somebody else, you get another 250 items of free space, and so do they. So you know, if anybody wants this, I'm very happy to refer it to you. Just let me know. Okay, my third one. So that's Workflowy. Have either of you used that at all?
I have not, no.
I have. In fact, I just, as we're talking, I'm just reopening. I'm looking back. Clearly, I stopped using it about 3 or 4 years ago because I got stuff back here. It's like, oh, I still haven't done that. I will. Maybe this will replace the whiteboard because the kids keep stealing it from my desk. So this might be handy just to have on in the background on my desktop, and so at least then it's here. But my biggest thing is having something I can clear off. You know, I've done that task. So I think this would be a good one to have for that.
My third one and most important one is called Scrivener, from a company called literatureandlatte.com. And it is a writing app. So you go into Scrivener and it looks for all the world like your Finder folders. You know, it's like a 3-ring binder for your content. So let's say you had a physical 3-ring binder and you were going to organize all your content in it. So you'd have perhaps different parts of the binder for different things you were doing. So maybe you'd put your research in something. Maybe you'd have another section for your photos, another section for, this a lot of people use Scrivener for fiction writing. So they would have sections for their different characters and the different scenes in their book. I use it specifically for content writing for my website. So I can use it to structure any content piece, from an introduction to the different sections in an article if it's lengthy. I use it for my podcast. So in fact, on Scrivener right now, I have all these sections that we've been doing today, and it's all laid out. So when I come to writing the show notes, I just do a copy, and I do an export. You just export everything that I wrote in. I've got what Mike was talking about, what Jason was talking about, what I was talking about. I've got all the links to all the different apps, and everything is in one place. And I think that's the thing. When I was writing content and had everything in WordPress, it was really tough to find it because, you know, as Mike knows, my organization in, not WordPress, I'm sorry, on just on the computer. As you know, my organization and where I save things is completely random, and
it's a little frightening sometimes.
I know you have difficulty in finding anything that I've created, and then I can't remember what I've titled it. So using Scrivener makes it's so much easier. I have different you have different projects. So I have a project called Podcast. So that has all my different podcasts, what's upcoming. When I have ideas, it's in there as well. So everything is neatly organized. I have one that's simply called Content Planner for my cottage link rental management content. And I have that all separated out into, as I mentioned with the images, different regions. So for example, it says Muskoka Parry Sound, and under that I've got bakeries, because I intend doing a blog post on bakeries in that area. I have a section called Things to Do, and this takes all the different parts of the Things to Do area on the website, and I've put that on here. So we have something called A Taste of Ontario, and I've got some projected blog posts. One is called Craft Breweries, the other is called Sugar Bush, which is our maple syrup collection in the spring, the butter tart tour, farmers markets, so that I have ideas for blog posts and they just go in there. I can highlight them for when I'm actually working on them. There's so much in Scrivener. I think what I'm going to do is a separate little separate video I will probably do and actually show you through working through the entire, or how I work through Scrivener. As far as cost is concerned, I'm amazed at this, that the cost of Scrivener is $45. It is incredibly cheap. I also bought into a training program to teach me how to do Scrivener. So that's been super, super helpful as well. I keep all my research in it. You know, I come across a web page and it will link, if you use Evernote and you keep snippets in Evernote, then you can do transfers of all those snippets into Scrivener. So when you start writing, everything is in one place. And I think that's what I find it's ease of use. That is the huge benefit for me. Just one example, I went for a hike yesterday with my sister out into the most amazing forest that's nearby us. And it has a great history because it used to be a resort back in the 1920s. And then it was bought out by a developer, and then a developer sold it to somebody else who decided that they were simply going to turn it into a series of hiking trails. There's 16 lakes in this property, and every lake has a hiking trail around it. And in the winter, they're cross-country ski trails. And it is, and it's a secret. People just do not know about this place. I went yesterday on a glorious day, and there were 6 cars in the car park, and we did not see a soul on the hike we chose. So I took photographs and I took video, and online I found the history of Limberlost, the Limberlost forest, and I found a PDF of all the hiking trails. So I've collected everything into Scrivener in the research section, and now I'm writing a blog post or writing an article for the website about all these secret hiking trails that only the locals know. And it's going to be so easy when I get to putting this all together, compiling it all, and it's going to be very simple to put it all together, put the photographs in, put the PDFs in, and then export it to WordPress. So there's a lot more to Scrivener. I am absolutely in love with this. Have you guys heard of it?
I've heard of it, but I haven't used it. It looks to me a lot like maybe a more, writing version of Evernote or Office OneNote, something like that.
I've heard of it too, and I'm liking the idea that potentially, if you can create a book out of it, then we can probably use this to organize our content on the Vacation Rental Formula website a bit better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, can you add other users to collaborate on the same account?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, so we can look into that because certainly for a business, I mean, we're talking to people, talking to our listeners on the podcast all the time about looking at content marketing and adding a blog. So this could be a great place to start if you are looking to, create that content for your vacation rental business. Is you can start here and then start collating all your ideas in one place.
Yeah. Yes, well, we'll look into that. But as I say, it's I think for $45, that's US. I think I paid $59 for it. I've had this for a long time, and originally I was it's mostly for Mac. They really have worked it out for PC as well now. When I originally started using it, I was on a PC, and because I was trying to figure out why did I not use this much, but it just wasn't configured for PC as well at that time. But now it is. So whether you're on a Mac or PC, it really doesn't make much difference. So it's not expensive. I think it's a really terrific buy.
Another one that I didn't mention earlier, but it kind of goes along the same lines as writing and making sure that grammar is right and everything. It's actually called Grammarly. I've been using that one for 3 or 4 years, and it really helps. with punctuation, capitalization, and all that, grammar when you're writing emails, writing in Google Docs or Word or whatever the case is, or making a Facebook post, it even pops up there. So Grammarly has been a great addition for me, and I think it's $50-$60 a year, or you have a free version. So I've really enjoyed that one.
Well, that is great. So that makes 10. Actually, it's 11 because Mike snuck in another one. So what we had here,
we've got a couple of bonuses.
We're overachievers.
What we have here is with sleep, diet, and exercise, Muse, the meditation tool, Asana and Trello, Plutio, the Garmin Instincts watch that Jason mentioned, Brain FM. I'm a lover of Brain FM, Filebird, Workflowy, Scrivener, and Grammarly. That's pretty extensive list, guys. Thank you so much for contributing to that, because there's several in here that I hadn't heard of. The sleep, diet, and exercise, had no idea about that.
Well, you know what, and I think for those of you listening to the podcast, please head across to the show notes and put down in the comments some of the things that you're using. Just because you might be out for a walk or a run or in the gym or driving in your car, you're probably thinking about, well, I already use this one and this works better for me. Here at the Vacation Rental Formula, we're trying as best as we can is to build this community. So if you can come across and leave your suggestions in the comments in the show notes for this episode of the podcast, we mentioned earlier on our Facebook group. And just to make it a little bit easier for you to get access to, we actually created, as we're recording this, I created a little link that makes it a little bit easier for you to get to. So simply go to vacationrentalformula.com/Facebook-group. So vacationrentalformula.com/Facebook-group, and that'll take you straight to the Business of Short-Term Rental and Property Management Facebook group. We're into nearly 2,000 members on there. It is one of the most engaged groups on Facebook right now, without all of the whining and complaining and moaning about the industry. I think there's a lot of groups out there that I got very tired of, because the group members, it just seemed the focus was complaining about their business and complaining about guests, rather than, I had this problem, can you guys help me with a solution? Which the general conversation in this group seems to be. So please do those two things. Leave your comments on the show notes and head across and become a member of the Business of Short-Term Rental and Property Management Facebook group.
Fantastic. Well, I think that's about it for everybody. I think we've blown their minds this morning. So
yeah, who's sitting in their car right now going, God, I didn't write any of this down?
Yeah, do you ever go to the show notes? Well, go to the show notes, and everything will be down there, all the links, all the and a few comments on each one as to how we use them.
Just a quick word on that. If you are not sure how to get to the show notes and you're listening to this on a smart device, if you can open up the description of this episode and any other episode we do, we actually include the hyperlink that will take you directly to the show notes in the description of each episode. So quite often, if you're listening to it on the podcasts app on an Apple device, typically you don't get to see the description of the episode unless you click on, I'm not exactly sure where you click, you just need to find the description, and in there will be the link to get you straight to the show notes. So that should really help facilitate you finding that a lot easier if you haven't discovered that yet.
Okay, that's perfect. I did not know that.
And there you go. I mean, you make podcasts, so if you didn't know it, I'm sure there's lots of listeners out there who don't know it either.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I've taken up a lot of your time, guys. Thank you so much. It's you've taught me stuff, as you always do. So that's me squirreled out now for the rest of the day.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yep, me too. This is always great to get the three of us together.
It is indeed.